And we're back, episode 208 of the Horror Guys.
That's a lot of movies.
And got more this week, too.
And I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
We're going to talk about these horror movies.
Yep, 4 movies and a short, as always. What do we got?
We got Sissy. You're a sissy. I'm a sissy. We're all sissies. You Are Not My Mother, Something in the Dirt, and We Are All Going to the World's Fair.
All right.
These are all new movies. Very, very new.
They are, yeah.
Yes.
Some of them are good. Some of them not so much.
Yeah, we're going to tell you all about them.
All right. And those are the 4 movies we're going to talk about here today.
And a short.
And a short, yes. Yeah. And, of course, there are bonus movies if you go over to horrorbulletin.com and join our newsletter. It's completely free, and you get all the 4 movies we're going to talk about here, plus the short, plus 2 more movies. This time, we've got I, Monster, from 1971.
Mm-hmm.
That's I, comma. It's not about eyeballs.
I, Monster. Yeah,
it's sort of a Jekyll and Hyde with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
And that was the best part of it, seeing them together again. It's kind of a, so-so.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not one of the outstanding movies, but there's nothing wrong with it.
It's basically Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, not even basically.
Okay, not
it
even
really
basically.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And one neither of us had seen before from 1976, Who Can Kill a Child?
I had never even heard of it before.
Yeah, we saw this mentioned in a documentary a few weeks back.
And we said, hey, we need to see that. And we did, and it was pretty darn good.
It was. It was
surprising
weird
that I'd never heard of it before.
It was, what country? Spanish?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was in English, though, and I don't think it was dubbed. I think it was made in English. But a young couple visits this vacation spot, a little remote, isolated island in Spain.
They start out on the shore, and it's much too crowded. Let's go to this isolated island where the tourists haven't discovered yet.
And something weird has happened on this island.
Very weird.
We're not going to spoil it.
Really unsettling.
If we haven't seen it or heard of it, you may not have either.
But
read about that over at horrorbulletin.com.
Yeah, recommend that one.
Yeah. 4 years ago on episode 2, we're going way back there.
Holy cow.
What did we watch?
We watched Shudder from 2007.
That's Shudder, Shutterer, like on a camera.
A guy gets into photography and things go awry
in
a very bad way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that was a good one.
Yeah, it was all right.
And Birdbox from 2018, which got a huge amount of hype at the time and I thought was really overrated.
I haven't heard much about it since. There's not been a Birdbox 2 that I'm aware of.
No, I don't think so.
There certainly could have been.
It was okay. Yeah, starred Sandra Bullock, if I recall. And,
yeah.
Aliens invading, monster aliens.
It was A Quiet Place, only with eyes instead of ears.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the 16th issue of Horror Bulletin Monthly is now available. Go over to horrorguys.com/books or Horror Guys Shop and pick yours up today. It's got a really cool cover on it. Mm-hmm. And it includes every review we did last week, both the one last month, including the ones in the newsletter. So there's 32 reviews on there.
And I have to say, Brian has some shelves up in his office, and he's got the covers, the books, standing up on this collection of shelves, and those are some really neat covers.
They do look pretty cool.
They look really cool all in a row like that.
All right, so enough of that. Let's talk about Sissy from 2022, directed by Hannah Barlow and Kane Senes, written by them also. Stars Aisha D., Hannah Barlow, and Emily D. Margheriti. Hour and 42 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. And this one is available on Shudder. Spoiler free. This one has a lot of dark humor.
Oh, does it ever?
It was very good overall with a strong cast, unique script, and excellent special effects. Once things gets going, it's a wild ride of frantic damage control and mayhem. And I had not watched the trailer first, so I didn't know what we were getting into going into this one.
I wasn't expecting that much humor with it. Yeah,
a lot of the movies lately we have not been watching the trailers for. We get the name off a list somewhere and say we should probably see that. And
trying to go
into it blind.
With a surprise. And we were delightfully surprised by this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens?
Well, Sissy and Emma were best friends in high school. I mean, not just high school, in childhood, before
high school.
Yes. Well, Sissy grows up to be an influencer with an online show about hyperventilating and meditation and coping and selling facial masks.
You can't see my eyes rolling right now, but they are.
Well, she has over 200,000 followers, so she must be doing it right. She finishes a video, goes to read her feedback. It's all very positive and gushing, and it's clear that she's pretty addicted to it. She really enjoys it.
Every time she gets like a thumbs up or a heart, you see her eyes glow. And
Mm-hmm.
clearly she's
into
getting into it, yes.
Yeah. Well, she goes to the store for some stuff, and she sees Emma there. Except she gets upset and tries to avoid her. But Emma spots her and is really happy to see her. Sissy doesn't seem nearly as happy, but she kind of fake smiles and fakes it. And Sissy says she's Cecilia now. Emma invites her to her engagement party at a bar, and Cecilia reluctantly accepts. Cecilia sits in her car afterwards and seems kind of upset. And there's some flashbacks. We gradually see more and more flashbacks of their childhood as it goes on. She remembers some good times they had together and smiles. So she goes to the party, but Emma's kind of pushy, and it's clear that Cecilia she seems kind of shy and without a lot of confidence in real life, despite being the internet star. It's kind of a different persona in person versus online. Well, there's a vomiting mishap, and Emma asks her to come to her hen's weekend in a few days, kind of the bachelorette party sort of thing. And after that, Cecilia does have some fun at the party. That night at home, she sees a younger version of herself in the dark bedroom, but she's covered in blood. Nope, just a dream. Flashbacks, dreams. When the time comes, Emma picks up Cecilia and several friends, and they all drive to a house out in the country. And on the way, she learns that Alex is going to be there. Cecilia remembers Alex as a bully who ruined her friendship with Emma. She's so distracted that she runs into a kangaroo on the road. She's driving at the time.
Must be Australia.
Mm-hmm. Well, between the news about Alex and the kangaroo, she's pretty upset. And actually, it turns out to be Alex's house. Alex isn't happy to see her either. Alex goes outside to yell at Emma for inviting her. She's crazy.
And things devolve from there.
Yes. Now, Emma and Alex are the couple, right?
No.
No, that's not right. Just friends.
Names.
Yeah, Alex is just a friend.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, it's a same-sex couple.
Not Alex though. So
yeah. Okay.
Emma and somebody else. I don't see.
I mean, not that that matters because
really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the plot.
It doesn't have anything to do with the plot.
Yeah.
No. There's one guy I think at the party.
Yeah.
And all the rest is gals. And things go off the rails. Boy, do they ever.
Well, I guess Sissy's affirmations really aren't that helpful, are they? Whenever something bad comes happens, she's like, I am an important person. Have my self-value. I am a good person.
And she has this string that she'll make a circle around herself with this string.
Oh, yes.
This is my safe space. I am calm here. And, all the affirmations. And, they work online.
Well, Jamie's death, surprise, somebody dies, is just hilarious, as are the little graphic-y thingies when Cecilia gets likes and subscribes. Fran and the kangaroo, Alex and Emma's resolution, didn't see any of that coming. This whole thing was really Emma's fault. We've already told you this part. She knew Cecilia and Alex had a history, and that they'd both be there at the party with no way home.
Yeah, they're both kind of stuck there.
Gore shots are outstanding and hilarious.
And sometimes even slow motion.
Sometimes. Yeah. And the deaths are all well-deserved, and things develop pretty quickly. It's a little slow getting started as everybody comes together, but it's never quite clear who you're supposed to be rooting for, which makes it fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, definitely a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, me too.
Something in the Dirt is up next, directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, written by Justin Benson, stars Aaron Moorhead, Justin Benson. These guys like to write their own stuff.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And Sarah Adina Smith, hour and 56 minutes, trailer in the show notes. What happens spoiler-free?
Well, it's a lot of two guys talking. They are interesting, and what they are talking about is often interesting, but there's not enough else that happens to keep it from getting kind of dull after a while. It's strange and it's offbeat, kind of humorous here and there with a heavy dose of science fiction, and pretty low-key on horror.
You used the word dull there. I like
yeah.
that word.
Yeah.
It seems rude to say boring as hell, but that was what I put
rude.
in my review.
It is. Yeah. It lacked shine.
It lacked a lot of things.
Yeah, it just kept going on, and I kept thinking, no, something's going to happen. It's going to get interesting, and then they kept talking. Then they talked for another half hour.
Things did happen, but none of it was important.
Yeah.
Or it felt like anything.
Yeah.
Well, we open on a guy sleeping on a sleeping bag in an empty house. We see that it's really just a very scuzzy apartment, and he seems to be seeing it for the first time himself. He woke up and, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. Levi tells his older neighbor John that there's no lease, and he rented it sight unseen online, but everybody seems okay with that. Yeah, there's no lease, he rented it online, and it is a serious dump.
Pretty much.
Probably paying like $350 for it. There are nearby fires, airplanes, coyotes, and homeless people, and you can see like a volcano going off in the distance or something. But it's California, so at least the weather's nice.
Yeah.
We cut to an interview with Dr. Rita Miller, who says she believes at least some of what we're about to see was real. But we don't know what she's talking about yet.
So there's a little documentary action going here.
It's not found footage.
Not quite,
but
no.
There is some of that in there.
Mm-hmm.
John and Levi move furniture into Levi's place. As John leaves, he notices weird sparkling lights. Something invisible is moving the ashtray. Levi doesn't see anything, but at least he's polite about it. Then he sees it too. Then they find several dead birds outside their door. John wants to start a supernatural podcast, as one does when these things happen. Mm-hmm. John's a photographer, and the idea soon morphs into doing a documentary. We then cut to John and Levi talking to the camera in interviews. That night, two guys start to document the weird heat coming out of the closet door. John wants to call the new film Something in the Light. Levi prefers The Door That Wouldn't Shut. The camera overheats, and the SD card is full. These idiots didn't record anything. Isn't that the way it always works?
That's why there's no Bigfoot footage, with modern devices.
Yeah. John looks up Levi's phone number online and instead finds him in the sex offender registry.
Whoops.
Levi doesn't want to discuss it at first, but eventually talks about taking a leak in the wrong place. That's good enough for John, and when the ashtray starts floating again, this time they're ready with the cameras. And then more stuff happens, and there's more talking, and a thing happens here, and then there's more talking, and another thing happens, and there's more talking, and there's lots and lots of talking.
But
and then it's over.
And then things kind of wrap up, sort of.
It's offbeat and sort of funny, but not funny enough that I'd call it a comedy. The acting is fine. The cinematography is good as well. And there are some special effects shots here and there and like these instant flashbacks and things. Mm-hmm. The problem is the plot or lack thereof. You could summarize the whole movie as two guys find some weirdness in an apartment and try to film it. That's not a 2-hour movie.
It didn't seem like it.
And this is almost 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots and lots.
It seemed long.
It felt long, yes.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of conversations and talking. Honestly, most of the runtime is just two guys talking and comparing theories. They are interesting characters interacting, but don't come here looking for horror.
Yeah, we saw it on a horror recommended list.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is technically considered.
In the genre, it's one of those, it's there. Yeah.
It gets very much bogged down in conspiracy theories and similar ideas, and we both found it immensely boring.
I didn't hate it, but I'd only give it like a 6, I think.
Oh, you
overall.
are being so generous. A 6 means you might want to watch it again sometime.
Not necessarily. Oh, I think it needs at least a 7.
A 5 is an average film. I'll watch an average film over again.
Oh.
Would you watch this over again?
Maybe.
It's a 3.
Maybe.
It's a generous
with
3.
it in the background if I had a computer in front of me where I could surf the internet at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that takes us to our short film for the
so being
week, which we
generous.
both liked a bit more.
Yeah.
It's called Who's Hungry? And this is an old one from 2009.
Yeah, I just came across this by accident. Somebody recommended, and it was a lot of fun.
Written and directed by David
2009.
Ox. Stars, well, it's animated, so there's nobody. And there's no voices.
Just the animators.
It's 5 minutes and 4 seconds, and you can watch the entire thing on YouTube for free. Just click on the link in the show notes. What happens?
An animated ice cream truck stops at the curb. The guy in the truck grabs 2 children and drives off. Later, in the ice cream man's torture dungeon,
What?
yeah, one child hangs from a hook while the other ends up in the meat freezer. What will happen to the child who was already in the freezer and is frozen solid?
Ew.
Ew.
It's black and white and animated, so there's no limit to what could happen here. It's short, violent, and really well done. There are no voices or dialogue, but it's always obvious what's going on in every scene. It's horrifying and fun.
Well, worth checking out.
Yeah. And the whole thing about the kids hanging on the hook and winding up in the freezer, that's like in the first minute. Much more happens.
Yep.
Which takes us to our next film, You Are Not My Mother. 2022. You think this is going to have an obnoxious teenager? You're not my mother. You can't tell me what to do.
It's a little more complicated than
It's
that.
not that.
No.
Written and directed by Kate Dolan, stars Hazel Dupe, Carolyn Bracken, and Jordan Jones. 1 hour, 36 minutes. Trailer in the show notes.
And I think it was so effective because it was only an hour and 33 minutes. They could have really stretched this out more, but I think they got to the point and got things done, and it moved along nicely.
Yeah, it's not too long. It's fine. It spoiler free.
Spoiler free, this starts out with a shocking scene and then goes to a slow burn, leaving us wondering what's going on, but it gets there nicely eventually. It is skillfully written and directed and overall very entertaining.
And it's very Irish.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I am amazed that they're all speaking like Irish
We
accents.
could understand them without
I understood every
subtitles.
word, yes.
Their accents are not horrific.
Something I have trouble with Scottish.
Sometimes,
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes Irish, too. Can
Yeah.
be really
Oh,
strong.
yeah, you can get the thick Irish, too, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, not quite a spoiler, but we begin with a baby in a carriage sits in the middle of the road. A woman comes out and pushes it into the woods. Is that her mother? Grandmother? Stranger?
We don't know at that point.
The woman digs a hole as she reads a witchy-looking book. She sets some brush on fire and cooks the baby in the center of a ring of fire.
Wait, what?
Credits roll.
That's a hell of a start.
Baby. Fried baby. Well, we then see the same woman that we just saw, Miss Devlin, stuck in bed with a sore foot.
And somewhat older.
Yeah. And her granddaughter, Char, is taking care of her. Char's mother is there too, but she seems to have some kind of emotional problem. Just tired, she says. Mom zones out on the way to school and almost hits a horse in the road. I can't do this anymore, she says. It looks like Mom has severe depression. We see that Char is very talented and has skipped ahead a year in class, shows she has no friends. On the way home from school, she spots Mom's car abandoned in a field. The police talk to Grandma and Uncle Aaron about the disappearance, and Grandma acknowledges that her daughter has down times and suggests that she may have gone missing before. Char tells Aaron about what her mother told her that morning, and some kids in the neighborhood bully Char and burn the photo she had of her mother. That night, Grandma gives Char a little protection charm. Grandma's into the magic. We get a flashback to Char and her mother carving pumpkins for Halloween years ago. That night, she dreams that her mother is dead. But later that night, her mother Angela comes home.
And it's all okay from there, right?
No.
Oh,
No.
we should stop there.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place.
is.
So mother goes missing, and then she mysteriously comes back, and things aren't
And
quite the
things
same.
happen. And
Yeah.
by the title, You Are Not My Mother, what's going on here?
Well, we know from that very first scene that there's witchcraft or something similar going on.
And that is explained.
Yep. And then we get into the family drama for quite a long time, and that kind of goes onto the back burner later. The witchcraft goes onto the back burner for a good while. It spends a lot more time dealing with depression and mental illness than the witchcraft bits, but it is well done.
Yeah, very well done.
And there really is some supernatural involved. It's not all just craziness.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of these movies we've been watching lately, there's a lot of movies in the last few
Where
months
it's
of dealing with
all
insanity
craziness.
and depression, and is it real or isn't it? And sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
This is kind of both.
And then there's We're All Going to the World's Fair 2022.
Oy.
Directed by Jane Schoenbrunn and written by her as well. Stars Theo Anthony, Anna Cobb, Holly Ann Frink, and Michael J. Rogers. An hour and 26 minutes. Really? That's all it was?
Yeah, you know where this is going already. Is that all that was?
Yeah.
Trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free.
Too much of this is cringe and boredom rather than entertainment. There is sort of a story that we can slowly figure out, and there is some horror, but we horror guys didn't care for it at all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Very thumbs down from me.
Me too.
There's one movie I can think of that I give a stronger thumbs down to this year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is probably number 2.
This is my second least favorite movie of the new things, yeah.
Yeah, that first, the worst movie of the year rhymes with Skinamarink.
Uh-huh.
This I'm going to call number 2.
Starts and ends with Skinamarink.
Yeah, this was
It's highly...
dull.
People speak of it. Well, people spoke highly of Skinamarink, too. It's it's a matter of taste, I guess.
I think Skinamarink is one of those ones, if you were watching it and you were high as a kite,
That would help.
it probably would make it a lot more interesting.
A lot of movies that helps with.
Watching it sober, it was the most boring thing ever. This one, I think if you're a teenager and you're really into the internet memes and the internet challenges and being obsessed with stuff on the internet, this might mean something to you.
Might help.
For me, it was a stupid teenager that you just wanted to slap.
Harsh.
Yeah, a little bit. And afterwards, I wanted to take the filmmaker and slap them.
Wow.
All right. Well, Casey sits in her room at the computer. Hey, guys, Casey here. She rehearses for the camera. Today, I'll be taking the World's Fair Challenge. And then she makes her bed and cleans the room because no one wants to watch a live streamer with a messy room. Eventually, she starts up the camera and does her actual show. She repeats, I want to go to the World's Fair. 3 times. I want to go to the World's Fair. I want to go to the World's Fair.
You have to say it with
I want to go to
meaning.
the World's Fair. But neither Bloody Mary nor Beetlejuice shows up. But she does stick herself with a pin to get some blood. Then she watches a video that strobes her face with color. Well, that was the World's Fair Challenge, and thanks for watching. I'll post an update if I start to notice any changes. She then signs off, and credits roll.
So basically, the premise is there's this psychoactive video that influences people, and it depends person to person how it influences them, but it starts affecting their mental state, and reality might start breaking down for them, or some don't have much effect. But anyway, it's this online thing where you're supposed to go online and show yourself doing the World's Fair Challenge, watching this thing called the World's Fair. They're calling it a game. It's not really a game. It's more of a strobing, hypnotic kind of thing, I guess.
Well, then there's a video explaining that all you have to do to get started with the greatest game ever, which, as Kevin just said, it's not a game,
Yeah, not really.
take the World's Fair Challenge. She watches another video from a guy who says he thinks he's changing inside. The whole World's Fair thing seems to be an internet sensation, kind of like Slender Man a few years ago.
Yeah, kind of.
People get obsessed with it. There's a video of a man on a treadmill slapping himself, and another with a music video where a girl turns into plastic.
And one guy's just sitting on the bathroom floor ranting about himself. And,
Yep,
It seems to have various effects.
Well, Casey is a horror fan, and she took the challenge because she thought it would be fun to live in one. She tells the audience about her childhood nightmares, and they've returned since the World Fair Challenge. That night, she records herself sleeping, but gets bored and goes out for a night walk instead. She goes to their locked barn and opens up a gun case to look at the gun inside, which she promptly puts away again. And we're like, oh, that's Chekhov's gun. That's going to come back. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
She then watches a go-to-sleep hypnosis video, which, as far as I'm concerned, this whole movie is a go-to-sleep hypnosis video. But there's a video message from JLB showing Casey's face getting all distorted, followed by the message, "You are in trouble. I need to talk to you." Well, JLB warns that playing the game changes you. He wants to help her. He doesn't like what she talked about in her latest video. She thinks that there's something happening inside her, that she's turning bad. She watches another video from a guy who picks off pieces of his arm and pulls out a string of tickets.
What a trick.
That was a trick.
Mm-hmm.
Casey then records a video of her dancing and singing, which is horribly cringy, but not terrible. Then she ends the video with screaming. Okay.
Because why not?
Casey's videos then get more and more unhinged. Is she losing her mind? Or is she just becoming a better influencer? And this is what the people want to see. She disembowels and dismembers her childhood stuffed toy. Then she comes back into the room and wonders what happened to her stuffed monkey. All right, I'm going to stop there because somebody might want to see this turkey.
There are people who saw it and speak highly of it.
Yeah.
So,
well, there are many scenes of Casey messing with her computer and doing really mundane things like making her bed. This is a commentary on social media, influencers, TikTok, memes, and internet challenges, but it's not much fun to watch. The theme of the film has something to do with people living in an internet echo chamber and getting obsessed with online stuff. I've seen this compared to Skinamarink several times, but the only real similarity is that nothing happens and they're both really boring. To be fair, this isn't anywhere near as boring as that film. Not much could be that bad, but it's giving it a good try. It didn't really make much sense to me. It was overly long, and Kevin and I both agree that we hated it tremendously.
So this week's
This has
film
been a
choices,
bad week for
This
films.
week's film choices was hit and miss. No, not bad. No,
You Are Not My Mother is the best of the week.
I disliked World's Fair.
Oh,
yes.
Sissy was very good also.
And Sissy was really excellent. Yeah, You Are Not My Mother is excellent.
Yeah.
And the Something in the Dirt was okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm going to give it an okay. I'm going to give it a solid 6.
I would have a hard time between You Are Not My Mother and Sissy. I think Sissy is a lot more fun. It's got a lot more humor.
A lot more
in it.
humor, yeah. But both of those are winners.
The Mother is more straight up horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, You Are Not the Something in the Dirt. Yeah.
And the World's Fair is just
Oh, God.
Yeah. Thumbs down from both of us.
Yeah. Hey, did you have any favorite movies this week?
This week?
This year?
Oh, this year? Yeah.
We made a list of all the movies that came out in 2022 that we watched 74 movies
that were 2022 movies
released in 2020. Oh, we watched like 365 movies. We watched 7 a week.
Yeah.
But there's 74 of them that came out this year, and we ranked them our top 10. Each of us, we haven't told each other.
He made me narrow it down to 10.
Yes.
That was a hard choice because there was a lot of good ones this year.
I thought it was pretty easy narrowing it down to about 16, but those last 10.
And I was about the same too. Yeah, it started getting really hard when I got in the teens.
Yeah, we're going to do a special podcast coming out within the next few days, sometime in the next week, where we talk about our top 10 from 2022.
Yeah, the ones we each liked the best.
Problem is, we haven't seen all the 2022 movies. There's still some of them on our list.
Yeah.
But we're going to be listening and subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. But if you made it this far, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop over at horrorguys.com to read our reviews, horrorbulletin.com to check out the email newsletter, Horror Guys Shop to buy our books. And there's a lot of good ones out there now. And we'll see you next week. I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you.
See ya.